Yo, what's good, YouTube? In today's video, we're going over my top 5 meta loadouts you guys need to be using. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so hopping in here, let's give you guys the first gun. This is something I didn't think I was going to be putting in here anytime soon, but the M16 here, when you happen to use the conversion kit on it, is insanely good. So let's go down here and throw on our first attachment, which is, of course, the Jack Patriot conversion kit. This is in the new weekly challenge. Go get this done, get this unlocked if you have not already. Makes this gun very good. Also has a little bit of recoil, but it hits incredibly hard. So first thing is, of course, that Jack Patriot. After that, we're gonna go up in here into the magazine section since it's right there. We're gonna go throw on the 60 round mag. This goes from being a 3-round burst to fully automatic with that Jack Patriot, and it's gonna have a really high fire rate of about a mid 800s per minute. It actually shows, it's actually glitched right here. It shows 596, which is not accurate. All of the burst guns, when you have a conversion kit or something that bumps up the fire rate, doesn't really change accurately, so don't pay attention to that. It's in the mid 800s, so it's got a very fast fire rate for an assault rifle here, and it's going to hit very hard. So we have to have that 60 round mag on there to really help us out, get a ton of ammo in that mag, just have that max possible. And I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy. I just prefer to go for that 60. After that, we're gonna go in here to the underbarrel section. We're gonna throw on the tried and true Bruin heavy support grip for that gun kit control, aiming idle sway, horizontal recoil, and of course firing aiming stability. This is really solid right here. It helps us out at about 10 and 8%. It says it messes your vertical recoil about 4%, but you really don't feel it all that much. And the really only other downside is that it slows down your ADS speed, which is really sick. A lot of these other grips in here slow you down in more ways than one, and we don't really want that. We still want to have some decent mobility because you can be pretty aggressive with this assault rifle. You're not going to be sitting back popping some shots off from a distance. It's like your top tier, like medium-ish range assault rifle, is we're going to be utilizing the iron sights with this gun. In the muzzle category, we're gonna go throw on a compensator here for our next attachment. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go all the way down here and we're gonna throw on the Casus brake. So this can help us out tremendously with our horizontal recoil and our firing aiming stability. So we can see this right here helps us about 18%. And the reason we take so much horizontal recoil into consideration and trying to stabilize it out is because it's almost impossible to really compensate for when something's wiggling back side to side. It's very easy when you think about it logically to pull something down, just to pull down on the stick because you're only concerned about some vertical recoil. That's very easy and manageable. But when you're talking about horizontal, you can't really correct for that. I mean, you're going to be moving your stick all around. It's just not going to be viable at range. So that's why we have to have the Casus brake on there to really help us out. Of course, and then for our last attachment, and going back to the rear grip section, to stabilize it out here even more, and that's going to be that Socken ZX grip, which should really help make this thing a lot easier to use at some distances. The iron sights are actually very solid, so you can use this Socken ZX grip here and use the iron sights. But if you don't want to go ahead and use that Socken ZX grip, what I actually happened to use here for my other attachment was an optic, and I ended up throwing on the Jack Glassless. So pretty much you can use the Jack Glassless in place of that. Just keep in mind you'll have a tad bit more recoil, though this does a pretty good job stabilizing it out, and I was dropping some crazy high kill gameplays with it, which you guys could find at one of my videos on my channel. It's actually doing very well, so definitely go check that out if you have not already and want to see some gameplay with this. But either on this or that Socken ZX, and that's going to be a great first gun for our top 5. Next up, we're taking a look at the Ripper, and we're going to be once again using a conversion kit because we're not trying to use this, as the BP50 as the primary long range. We're trying to use this as the SMG version, aka the Ripper from Call of Duty Ghosts. For those guys that played back in that game, or maybe you just don't know, but you've seen it around on the internet, the Ripper was a fan favorite in that game, and of course it is now in this game in this version. So conversion kit, the Jack Revenger kit, you guys definitely have to unlock this if you have not already. It pays to stay on top of those weekly challenges, fellas. It pays to stay on top of them, so definitely want to equip this on there. Of course, we have a lot of things we cannot use as of right now, but our first attachment is going to be in that rear grip section. We're going to throw on the CCG, my bad, tack tape. I threw an extra C in there, but basically this helps us with our tack stand spread and our sprint to fire speed. This gun right here, if you don't even have perks on with this exact build, you will feel the massive increase to your overall movement speed and how fast you're able to sprint. This is one of those movement guns which is absolutely ridiculous, and you can for real just zoom around people. It's actually pretty nuts. So you guys definitely want to use this. It's really fun, and it's also just actually really good. So definitely throw that on there. Of course, now we're gonna go into the ammunition side of things, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down here and throw on the 9mm high grain rounds. This is going to increase our overall bullet velocity and damage range. We're already about 14 meters with this on there, so a nice 15% increase across the board, making this thing just more effective. It puts you pretty much out into the competing damage range with the Striker 9, the regular Striker. I think the regular Striker, depending on how you build it out, it's going to have a farther initial damage profile, about 17-ish meters. That's why people can use it as a sniper support. This is just a real good high movement, you know, secondary that you guys are going to want to run. So we have that on there. Next up in the muzzle category, we're gonna go throw on a compensator here. We don't need a suppressor on this thing, and we're just gonna go down and throw on that Zeman 35 compensated flash hider. This is an absolute heater of an attachment. I run this on a variety of my SMG builds, so I'm not running a suppressor or just unsuppressed entirely, nothing on the muzzle. That Zeman seems to be a pretty staple attachment for me, and it should be for you guys as well out there. I mean, I'm only using what I think is personally like the best stuff out there between what I find and what everyone else finds. So I'm trying to, you know, use the best stuff available to me, so I'm giving that to you guys. I want to give you guys something that I wouldn't use, you know what I'm saying? So we have that Zeman 35 on there. Next up in the laser section, actually for our final attachment, we're gonna go throw on this very first laser here, which is the Kimura RYL33 laser light. So keep in mind with this thing, the flashlight is visible in ADS and so is the laser, but I mean, you're gonna be zooming, you're gonna be, you know, zooming, kind of bobbing and weaving between people, and so it's not gonna matter really if they see your laser. That's never really been a detractor for me. I even run some of the laser lights on sniper rifles because they're so good. I mean, it's like people see the glare anyways, so it doesn't really matter on a sniper, but on this case, you know, you're gonna be up in their face. I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not corner camping, ADSing something, then hey, I mean, you're gonna be good to go. So at that point, you might give yourself away sitting in the corner if someone has any sort of semblance of awareness or, you know, understanding the game, but overall, you guys should be good to go here with this. This is my full build right here for the BP50, aka the Ripper. All right, now let's get in here and give you guys a build here for the DG58 LSW. This is pretty much like your zero recoil long range gun. There's a few different builds you can run with it, and I went over one specifically in my previous video, so I'll try to alter this up here a little bit. If you guys want to see that one, that was an iron sight focus build, and I happen to have the fossilized, or basically the bone structure variant. It's the see-through one, so I think it's one of the cooler variants in the game, so it makes the iron sights actually look really dope. So if you want to run that, you can definitely pick that up in the store. It's actually a really solid bundle. I like it. I don't buy a lot of bundles, but I think it's really good. Muzzle, we're gonna get here first, and so we have a couple options in here. There's a tried and true, like standard one, where you can run that VT7 Spiritfire, and you're totally okay. But I mean, pretty much the muzzle will be interchangeable within this build, so run either the VT7 Spiritfire, or we can go back here and we can run the Casus Break and be good with that. So I'm gonna throw the Casus Break on here because I've shown you guys that VT7 Spiritfire exact build a couple of times, and I don't want to show you that one again. So we'll give you guys the Casus Break, which is equally as effective, and it's almost arguably easier to control. Next up in barrel section, we go through on the Woody long barrel, giving us aiming auto sway, bullet velocity, and range, recoil control, and gun kick control. If we take a look at the detailed statistics here, this barrel puts us out over 1,000 meters per second in bullet velocity and helps extend out our effective damage range. If you want a tad bit more effective damage range, you can throw on that VT7, and that'll be good for that. That'll help extend it out to, I believe, 36 meters, which is your initial damage drop-off profile. This gun's got a very good damage drop-off though, so it's not that big of a deal. Just kind of personal preference at the end of the day. Under barrel section, we're throwing down that Bruin Heavy. This is pretty standard here for a lot of our long range guns. I don't gotta explain this one too much, but it really helps out quite a bit here with your just overall recoil gun kick, and it helps you with 8% on your horizontal. Your vertical is about to get a plus 4%, which doesn't really even make sense considering this thing almost does not genuinely move. Like it's very easy to use, and it slows you down very minimally at 7% on your ADS, and that's the only sort of statistical, you know, mobility downside to it. Now we're gonna go on here into laser section, not the laser, my bad, the optic section. We're gonna throw on that JAT glassless optic. This is by far my favorite optic to use in the entire game right now. The JAT glassless works so good on so many different guns, whether it be like an AR, an SMG. I've used it even on like the Uzi, you know, the WSP9. So I've used it on a variety of things, on LMGs, of course, like this, and it just works out great. I mean, it's super easy. It's great for those medium long distances. And of course, if something's a little bit too far outside of your distance when you can see with that JAT glassless, there's probably a chance that maybe you should only be sniping them at that point. And so it's kind of a nice little limiter, and it's like, hey, you probably shouldn't be engaging at that point when they're that far away. So we have that JAT glassless on. And lastly, in the stock section, we're gonna go throw on the recoil reduction butt plate, which will definitely make this thing an absolute laser. At a 19% recoil gun kick help, at 12 and 12 for a horizontal and vertical. I mean, this gun is for real not going to be going anywhere. So you guys should definitely run this. Like I said, you can run the Costas Break or the VT7. It's not going to make a difference really too much, but overall, great build. Next up, let's give you guys a build here for a pretty hard hitting SMG, aka the Striker. I was talking about this here a little bit earlier, so I want to give you guys this in my top 5. It's going to be basically the farthest you can push out your damage profile, making this thing very, very effective and also still very mobile. So let's give you guys the ideal build for it. So for that muzzle category, I'm going to throw on that Zeman 35. I'm not going to explain this one. You guys know what it does. I think it shortens your radar ping, by the way, for you guys that are curious. I think about 3 seconds down to like 1.5, which I mean is still, you know, very short amount of time. So it's almost like a suppressor without being exactly a suppressor. But this is the extent of the recoil stabilization you're going to need here on this build. Really don't need a whole lot. Barrel section, we're going to go through on the Striker Recon Long Barrel. I've covered this quite a bit here between the Elite Long and the Striker Recon Long, between this and the Striker 9. You always want to go for the Recon Long Barrel, not the Elite Long Barrel. It slows you down way too much in your mobility, and also you get a better damage increase here. See, 18% on our effective damage range versus 13%. So there's no reason to slow yourself down to get less effective damage range versus you can get more and slow yourself down less. We don't need that, so we're just going to go for the Recon Long Barrel. Underbarrel section, we go throw on the XRK Edge. This is a beautiful attachment here because you're going to be ADSing quite a bit, and the ADS movement speed on this is about 12% as opposed to the DR6, which is my other favorite one, which is about 6%. So maybe you're able to ADS a little bit faster with the DR6. Very, very minuscule, but overall the Edge gives you double the amount of ADS movement speed, which is crucial for when you're trying to strafe back and forth in those gunfights. It makes a big difference in your survivability. I'm telling you, it really does make a big difference. Now we're gonna go down to the ammunition, and we're gonna bolster out our damage range even farther, and that's gonna be with the .45 auto high grain rounds. This is really solid right here. So like I said, we boosted this out to 17.3 meters. This is the farthest pretty much you can get an SMG while still being actually effective at close range. So this is great here for like sniper support, for just using as a SMG that's gotten some range on it. I ran this exact build as an actual secondary, and I was still just absolutely frying with it at close quarters. So this is great right here, and it's also got one of the fastest bullet velocities, so you can still use it a little bit outside of a normal SMG range. I wouldn't recommend it if you got like an assault rifle like the M16 or something else like that. Use that. But overall, I mean, you can still kind of get out of some situations, maybe like bottom prison, you're kind of shooting down some corridors. You can still get out of some situations using this as opposed to having to run to an assault rifle. Lastly, magazine section, of course, the 48 round mag. You don't need to run that 60 round drum on here. The 60 round drum, in my opinion, is just a little bit overkill. This gun doesn't have that high of a fire rate in comparison to other SMGs. So I would definitely say that the 48 round is still perfectly enough. I mean, 48 rounds is enough in general for high fire rate SMG, let alone 60 is a little bit ridiculous. So 48 on a gun that doesn't have a super high fire rate just works out great. We don't need to slow ourselves down more so by having the 60 on there. Maybe front end sniper support and you got a bit of a different build on here with like an optic or something like that, go for that. But otherwise, for an SMG, a regular SMG build, the 48 is going to be great. So this is going to be my ideal Striker loadout. All right, and last but definitely not least, I was debating on giving you guys a different gun and not going from Striker to Striker 9, but overall, I'm gonna get some questions about this if I don't give you guys a Striker 9 build. As you can see, I have the one trick cam on it because I've been using this thing so much in game because it's just so good. It's like my favorite SMG to use right now. So let me give you guys the exact build here for it. First thing, muzzle, we're gonna go for that Zeman 35 as per usual. The barrel section, like I was talking about with the Striker, we just go for the Striker Recon Long Barrel. And this, it does pretty much the exact same thing with the percentages increase 18, 18, and 15 as opposed to 12, 12, and 15. I mean, we lose a ton of mobility here. It's a little bit behind my face cam, but pretty much the majority of that goes away as soon as we use the longer barrel, which gives us more range, which is ideally what we care about. I mean, we're not trying to like really stabilize everything out to the utmost degree. And if you want to stabilize it out even more, just use a different underbarrel as opposed to something that's going to give you more mobility. Underbarrel section though, speaking of, we're going to go for the XRK Edge. This is pretty standard. I love being able to strafe around quite a bit. This is just awesome. So definitely recommend for you guys to run the XRK Edge. When I put this and the stock together that I'm going to show you guys, it just works out so good. And then now in magazine, we're going to go throw on the 50 round drum. Contrary to the OG Striker, the UMP, whatever you want to call it, this has a very high fire rate. So we definitely need to run for that max magazine size as opposed to the 40 round mag. You definitely should be going for the 50 round drum on this, like 99.100% of the time. No reason for you guys to not go for this. Lastly, stock section, we're gonna go throw on the Striker Factory stock. This is just gonna help us out with our aim walking speed, movement speed, and sprint speed, making us just feel a little bit faster. We're able to run around, kind of bob and weave, dodge, you know, get away from some gunfights when we need to, because, you know, it's smart to take someone down, you know, run away, play it up, you know, re-engage, and not just try to full send everything. You know, it makes sense and it helps you survive longer. So this is gonna be my full build right here. Hope you guys enjoyed this top 5. If you guys did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, those notifications turned on, check out this other video on screen. I'll see you all next time.